Hello everyone, in the last video Lucy showed you how to make Eclipse's suit from the game Five Nights at Freddy's. Today let's take a look at how to make his mask. As always, I first made a template by tracing a picture. I will share the template in the description of this video. I printed out 2 copies so I could cut one up into pieces. Now let's start by making a base plate. This will just be a circle on which you are going to glue everything else. As you can see, I'm using 10mm EVA foam floor mats. The quality of the foam doesn't matter that much because it has to look broken anyway. After making the base plate, you can cut out 6 triangles which will be the sun rays. Later on we will cut those up to look more broken. Next up is the nose. I just cut this out of some leftover piece. Easy shapes like this you can just make without drawing the outline first. For the next pieces you will have to slightly adjust the template because there is some overlapping. As you can see, I draw the shapes a little bigger. The extra material added here will also be the area where we will be gluing other parts on top. This part is going to be the cheek. Again, we will make it a little bigger. This time because we have to bend it backwards later. This will create a more 3D effect. Next up is the part of Sun's face that isn't fully destroyed. Just like the cheek, we make this one a little bigger on the side. The piece I'm attaching back to the template is a piece of Moon's face, which is a layer lower than the rest of the face. After you cut it out as a whole, you can cut the piece out separately so it will fit perfectly when you glue it back. Before gluing it back, cut it in half so it's 5mm thick instead of 10. You can do exactly the same for the teeth. To finish this part we need to cut out the eye socket and some extra cracks in the mouth. This is easy, the uglier the better, because it's just damage anyways. Now let's start with the most difficult piece in my opinion, the metal jaw. You want this piece to be cut nicely because dremeling it is very hard in some places. Alternatively, you can make it out of a few pieces and glue them together. That way you can actually dremel it. I chose to make it out of one piece, but I cut off one of the ends so I could cut and dremel it a bit easier. On top of the metal jaw is a small piece which is a layer lower again. Just get some leftover piece and cut it out of that. For the eyes I just cut some strips and glued the ends together. Now let's get on to the fun part, destroying your creation. You can't really go wrong here. Make cuts on the face, nose, cheeks and teeth. You can also glue on the nose now, because I forgot to do it earlier. Next up, destroying the sun rays. For this, I just looked up a reference picture and drew it onto each piece of foam. But again, you can't really go wrong here, just destroy it the way you like. But as a reference I will show you how mine look. Next up are the metal pieces. These are the only pieces that need to be dremeled, because they need to be smooth. Some edges need an angle, start by marking all of your edges. As I said earlier, you can dremel the metal jaw too, but some places will be hard to reach. So keep in mind, you might actually make it uglier if you try too hard. To make the jaw more detailed I added some toothpicks. Notice that I used these to make the bar twist and come to the front a bit. You can also use metal rods or small PVC tubes, but I felt like making it using very basic materials. Now for some reason I started working on the face piece again. Using a heat gun you can bend the cheeks into the correct shape. On hindsight I think making the cheeks an extra layer of foam would have been better. This way you can create a clearer line between the mouth and the cheek, as is also visible on the template. Now after bending you can also glue on the metal eye socket glue the back of the sun's face and then stick it to the eye socket while it's still wet. This way you will know where you need to put more glue. Since we're gluing now anyway, you can also glue the rectangular piece to the metal jaw. Now let's add some more detail to the metal parts. Mark the pieces with some circles, like in the template. I used the metal piece of a brush to make the round cuts into the foam, but you can also use a Dremel or glue 2mm circles on top of it. Next up we need to make some teeth. I made 14 total, but if you want to make all of them you will need 16. If you make them out of 10mm foam you can cut them in half, which saves you a lot of time. I use toothpicks to attach them onto the jaw. If you are going to use this as a cosplay mask, I recommend using hot glue to attach the toothpicks onto the teeth and the jaw. I did this later, which is not in the video. Since one of the bars of the jaw is a bit twisted and comes to the front, you can add a triangular piece to the back of it. This will keep it in place better. Now most of the pieces are done, so you can start assembling the whole mask. Start by gluing the sun rays onto the base plate we made at the beginning of this video. Use the template as a reference to glue all of the other pieces. When necessary, first mark off the area where you need the glue. Once all the pieces are glued onto it, we will need to bend the outer edge of the face, so we can create a more rounded edge. Use a heat gun to heat up the edge, so you can bend it into the correct shape. After that, glue it together with the base plate and the foam build is done. Now let's add some lights to it. These lights are just some bike lights, which are perfect for this mask. I found some plastic cups which I cut in half using a Dremel. After that I sanded them to make them less transparent. Now all that is left is painting the mask. Be sure to remove the lights before painting it. First prime the mask with 1 or 2 layers of primer. After priming, I first added a layer of black paint on the areas I wanted to be a bit darker. Paint the metal with some kind of silver paint, but grey is also fine. Next I added the orange. You can still see the black paint through it, which is what we wanted. Add white yellow paint to the face and then it's time to make it dirty. So I tint some black paint with water. When you apply this, it will go into the cracks which you created with your knife. With a paper towel you can remove some of the excess paint. Use some normal black or brown paint for the darker areas. Once you are satisfied with how dirty your mask is now, you can add the white of the teeth. Again, you can dirty the teeth with some tint black paint if you want. You can also add some details to the teeth by painting a black line onto it. I used a Sharpie instead because I didn't have a tiny brush. Now put the lights back in and then the mask is done. I hope you enjoyed this video and I'll see you in the next one.